They were never meant to be friends. One was ice, the other fire. For 2 decades, they were gladiators in a global arena. But when the lights faded, a secret bond was revealed, and it changed football forever. The Bernabeu roared like a volcano as Cristiano Ronaldo stepped onto the pitch in white. Across the field, in the blue and red of Barcelona, Lionel Messi adjusted his captain's armband. 2 titans, 2 worlds, 2 destinies. But beneath the surface of this fierce rivalry, something unexpected was beginning to stay. It started with a glance. A quick, accidental meeting of eyes before kickoff. Ronaldo didn't smile. Neither did Messi. But something flickered. Recognition. A subtle nod, not of friendship, but of understanding. Back then, it was war. El Clasico wasn't just a match. It was a battleground of ideologies. Madrid's power, speed, and discipline. Barcelona's art, patience, and improvisation. And standing at the heart of each philosophy were 2 men, Ronaldo and Messi. The media stoked the fire. Ronaldo's ego vs. Messi's genius. Messi is natural talent. Ronaldo is manufactured. Who is a GOAT? Every week, every game, every goal, compared, analyzed, dissected, but only they knew the truth. Only Ronaldo knew how many times he stayed late at Valdebebas watching Messi's highlights in silence. Only Messi knew how often he watched Real Madrid just to see what Ronaldo would do next. Neither would admit it. Not publicly. Not yet. But the respect was real. Behind closed doors, they began to notice each other more. In pre-match tunnels, there was always tension. But sometimes there was a smirk, a shared joke in body language. Ramos didn't like it. Piqué rolled his eyes. But it was too late. The seeds had been planted. And those seeds had roots deeper than either man understood. Flashback, 2008, Ballon d'Or ceremony, Paris. It was their first real encounter off the pitch. Ronaldo, fresh from winning the Champions League with Manchester United, walked into the Grand Hall in a black tuxedo, crisp and confident. Messi, quiet and humble, sat with his father in the second row. The press focused on Kaká, Ronaldo, and Messi, the top 3. Ronaldo won that night. But something odd happened backstage. As Ronaldo walked offstage with his golden trophy, he passed by Messi. Most people missed it. But the cameras caught a brief moment. Messi stood, extended a hand. Ronaldo shook it. No words, just a respectful nod. And in that gesture, something unspoken passed between them. Ronaldo later told a confidant, "I didn't expect that from him. He's different. He's not playing the media game." Messi, on his part, mentioned to his brother, "Cristiano doesn't fake his passion. He wants to win like I do. I get that." 2010 to 2013, the Cold War era. As La Liga heated up, the rivalry intensified. One weekend, Messi would score a hat-trick. The next, Ronaldo would answer with 4. It was tennis, played on football pitches. But beneath the goals and glory, something began to shift. They watched each other's post-match interviews. They noticed each other's frustrations. They saw themselves in one another, the pressure, the expectations, the loneliness at the top. In private, their teammates whispered about it. Cristiano watches Leo's matches. Marcelo once said, "Leo knows what Cristiano eats for breakfast," joked Dani Alves. It wasn't friendship. Not yet, but it was no longer enmity. In a rare 2011 interview, Ronaldo was asked if Messi made him angry. He smiled and said, "No, he makes me better." That same year, Messi said in a radio interview, "I admire Cristiano. He's strong, he's hungry, and he never stops." No headlines were made. The media ignored it. Rivalry sold more than respect. 2014 Ballon d'Or, the shift. Zurich, a winter night. Another golden trophy to be awarded. This time, Messi wasn't the favorite. It was Ronaldo's turn. Again. But something had changed. As Ronaldo took the stage, Messi clapped. Genuinely. Ronaldo, for the first time, acknowledged him in his speech. "Without players like Messi, I wouldn't be who I am." Backstage, a photographer captured the impossible. Messi and Ronaldo laughing. Together. One joke. One smile. A few seconds. Then back to the stage. No press release. No interviews. But a whisper went through the football world. Are they friends? 2015 to 2017. Silent messages. When Ronaldo won the Euros in 2016, Messi sent a private message. Congratulations. A historic moment for your country. No emojis. Just words. Sincere ones. When Messi lost the Copa America final and retired, temporarily, Ronaldo posted online. One day, we'll miss watching Messi. Respect him. He's one of the greatest. A storm followed. Some praised. Some mocked. But Messi smiled when he saw it. Their mutual respect was no longer just quiet glances. It was growing louder. By 2017, they'd faced each other 30 times. Won Ballon d'Ors, La Ligas, Champions Leagues. But something else had happened. They had become each other's greatest mirror. And in that reflection, a strange kind of bond had formed. Closing of part 1. The world saw rivals, but they were becoming something more. Not friends. Not yet. But no longer enemies. In a game defined by competition, two men were beginning to understand something deeper. That the one who challenged you most was also the only one who truly understood you. And that understanding was the beginning of an unexpected friendship. By 2018, something extraordinary happened. For the first time in nearly a decade, the world watched the Ballon d'Or ceremony without either Messi or Ronaldo winning it. Luka Modric stood alone on the stage. And for the first time ever, both Messi and Ronaldo skipped the event. The media speculated wildly. Are they angry? Are they avoiding each other? But the truth was far more subtle and far more intriguing. A private encounter in Dubai. That winter, both players were in Dubai for separate events. Messi for a football academy, Ronaldo for a wellness summit. Coincidence? Maybe. But one evening, far away from the public eye, they met, not in a press conference, not in a hotel lobby, but in a quiet corner of a 5-star restaurant, far from flashing cameras. Only a handful of people knew about it. No entourage, no agents, just two men in caps and hoodies, seated in a booth near the back. They talked for nearly 2 hours, not about tactics, not about stats, but about life, family, injuries, pressure, and the loneliness that comes with greatness. Messi spoke about how it felt to leave Argentina at 13. Ronaldo shared the pain of losing his father before he reached his peak. Both admitted they were tired of the noise, of constantly being compared, of having to outperform the other just to silence people who never understood what it took. That night, a silent agreement was made. They weren't rivals anymore. They were survivors, veterans of the same battlefield. Before leaving, Ronaldo raised a glass of sparkling water. To respect, he said. Messi clinked his glass softly. To the game, he replied. Meanwhile, the world kept burning. Every pundit, every journalist, every fan, they all believed the war still raged. Instagram was flooded with debates. You can't compare them. Messi's a magician. Ronaldo's a machine. But behind the scenes, something radical was happening. Their messages became more frequent. Not daily, not even weekly, but after every major match, a simple ping. Mobile phone with right arrow, great goal tonight. Mobile phone with right arrow, that pass was beautiful. Mobile phone with right arrow, keep going. Simple words. But between these two legends, they meant everything. A night in Turin. In 2019, Messi traveled to Turin. Not for a match. Barcelona was facing Napoli in the Champions League, but for a brand event tied to Adidas and Juventus. He stayed at the same luxury hotel where Cristiano lived with his family. They bumped into each other in the private gym. Ronaldo, drenched in sweat, doing leg presses. Messi, finishing a light jog on the treadmill. They exchanged grins. Then, laughter, a casual, human moment. Ronaldo waved his hand. Come on, let's train together, for old time's sake. And so, for nearly 45 minutes, two of the greatest footballers ever trained side by side. Not as rivals, not as marketing machines, but as men. Cristiano's son, Cristiano Jr., peeked through the gym window. He whispered to the hotel staff, wide-eyed. Messi is training with my dad. I can't believe it. That night, Ronaldo posted a cryptic story on Instagram. Just a photo of two water bottles side by side. One had a Juventus towel under it. The other, a Barcelona one. No caption. No need. The Champions League message. Later that season, Messi watched Ronaldo's hat-trick against Atletico Madrid from a hotel room in Naples. He was stunned, not just by the goals, but by the fire in Cristiano's eyes. Even in his 30s, Ronaldo was a lion, and Messi felt something stir within him. After the match, Messi sent a message. Mobile phone with right arrow that was vintage Cristiano. You were unstoppable. Ronaldo replied minutes later. Mobile phone with right arrow. Thank you, Leo. They thought I was finished. Then, for the first time, Messi sent a rare compliment. Mobile phone with right arrow. You're never finished. You're built different. Ronaldo responded with a wink emoji and the word. Mobile phone with right arrow. So are you. The next generation. As both men grew older, their focus shifted. Trophies still mattered. But now, they were fathers, icons to millions, and role models to the very children watching YouTube compilations of their goals. One day, in a joint FIFA event, Ronaldo turned to Messi and whispered, "My son watches you more than me. I'm serious." Messi smiled. "That makes two of us. Thiago wants your stopovers." They laughed quietly as cameras flashed. But that moment lingered, because the bond had become real. The 2020 pandemic pause. Then came the pandemic, empty stadiums, silent pitches, football without its soul. During this eerie time, something surprising happened. They talked more. With the world slowed down, they checked in on each other. Mobile phone with right arrow, how's training? Mobile phone with right arrow, missing the roar of the crowd. Mobile phone with right arrow, same. Feels like we ghost playing echoes. In that stillness, the noise was gone. No interviews, no screaming headlines. Just two men, stripped of glamour, connected by truth only they shared. The game had given them everything, but also demanded everything. Now, for the first time, they had space to reflect. Closing of Part 2. The world still argued, still screamed. Messi or Ronaldo? Who's the GOAT? But in quiet corners of gyms, hotels, and homes, they had already answered that question. Not with words, but with respect, with laughter, with silence. What began as a rivalry was slowly becoming a rare, legendary friendship, and neither of them saw it coming. December 18th, 2022, Lusail Stadium. 88,966 hearts pounding in unison. Billions around the globe holding their breath. Argentina stood on the brink of immortality, and at the center of it all, Lionel Messi, his final World Cup, his final chance. Across the world, in a quiet villa in Riyadh, Cristiano Ronaldo sat alone. No cameras, no family, no friends. Just him, the TV, and the echoing ghost of what could have been. Ronaldo's world comes crashing down. Just days earlier, Ronaldo's World Cup dream had ended in tears. Portugal's shock defeat to Morocco had not just knocked him out, it had shattered something deeper in him. He walked off the pitch in Qatar with his head down, his face drenched in tears, his legacy questioned. The headlines were brutal. Finished. Ronaldo's decline. Time to step aside. For a man who built his career on defying odds, this felt like a public execution. And while the world mocked, one man didn't. Messi's glory, Ronaldo's silence. When the final whistle blew in Lusail, and Messi lifted the World Cup, the world erupted. From Rosario to Riyadh, from Paris to Tokyo. It was Messi's night. Tears flowed. Legends bowed. Even rivals celebrated. But Cristiano said nothing. No tweet. No post. No reaction. Silence. The world interpreted it as bitterness, jealousy, defeat. But inside Ronaldo's phone, far from the noise, a message had already been sent. Mobile phone with right arrow, congratulations, Leo, you deserve this moment. Simple, quiet, private. Messi replied minutes later. Mobile phone with right arrow, thank you, Chris. I wish it had been both of us." That message broke him, because deep down, Ronaldo had imagined it too. A final, shared World Cup, maybe even facing each other in the final. A rivalry sealed with one last duel. But fate had other plans. A letter never published. Days after the final, Ronaldo wrote something. Not for the press, not for the fans, but for himself. It was never published, but someone close to him later revealed its content. "We came from different worlds. You were the boy with the ball glued to your feet. I was the boy with iron lungs and a dream. We met on opposite sides of war. Madrid versus Barcelona, Portugal versus Argentina. But today, I see you, not as a rival, but as a brother who carried the weight with me. Enjoy this, Leo. You've earned it." That letter sat in his notes app for months. He never posted it. But Messi knew, because after the World Cup, they spoke on a call. No cameras, no recordings, just voices, and silence, and then laughter, rewriting the endgame. Ronaldo was no longer in Europe. Saudi Arabia was now his home. Many saw it as exile, but to him, it was peace. The war was over. Meanwhile, Messi celebrated across the globe, but not once did he rub it in. In interviews, when asked if he was now the GOAT, Messi shook his head. "I don't play for that, and I don't compare myself to Cristiano. His part of this story, a big part." It wasn't humility, it was truth, because Messi knew something most fans didn't. He wouldn't be the man he became without Cristiano. And Ronaldo, he felt the same. A hidden collaboration. In mid-2023, a secret marketing project nearly broke the internet without warning. A photo, Ronaldo and Messi, seated at a chessboard, Nike and Adidas, together, black vs white, genius versus precision. It was art. The image was shared over 100 million times in 24 hours. And yet, few knew the story behind the shoot. They had laughed the entire time, traded stories. Messi showed Cristiano photos of his sons. Cristiano teased Leo about how slowly he moves now in small spaces. "You're becoming Pirlo," he joked. Messi laughed. "You're still running like a bull." When the final shot was taken, they shook hands, held it for a moment longer than needed. "Let them debate," Messi said. "While we live," Ronaldo replied. Private words, public meaning. Later that year, in a FIFA documentary, Ronaldo was asked what he thought about Messi's World Cup. He paused, and then, with calm clarity, said, "Messi completing football was not a defeat for me. It was a victory for the game. He pushed me my whole life. I did the same for him. We needed each other. People may never understand, but there was love in that rivalry." Messi, watching the same interview a week later, smiled. A producer asked him to respond. He thought for a second, then said, "There were years I wanted to hate him, but I never could, because every time I looked at him, I saw myself." The dinner that changed everything. In late 2024, for the first time, they appeared publicly, together, without a brand forcing it. A dinner in Paris, just the two of them, at a quiet restaurant overlooking the Seine. The footage went viral, but what wasn't caught on video was what they spoke about. Their final years, what retirement might look like, and how, maybe, one day, they'd write something together. A joint book, not about football, but about pressure, isolation, sacrifice, brotherhood. It wasn't confirmed, but both smiled like they already knew it was happening. Closing of Part 3. By the time 2022 ended, everything had changed. Messi had the World Cup. Ronaldo had peace. And between them, a quiet understanding had evolved into something real. Not PR, not performance, not rivalry, but friendship. A deep, raw, complicated bond that had been forged through competition and strengthened through pain. The world still argued about who was better, but they didn't care anymore, because in the end, they had beaten the only true enemy, loneliness at the top. It began with transfer shocks. Two legends, two choices that defied logic and expectations. Cristiano Ronaldo to Al Nassr, Lionel Messi to Inter Miami. To many, it looked like an escape. To others, a retreat. But to them, it was something else entirely. The pressure was gone. The critics were quieter. For the first time in over a decade, they were free. Ronaldo in Saudi, redefining legacy. Riyadh was different. The air dry, the fans wild, and the cameras never stopped. Ronaldo wasn't just a footballer anymore. He was a global ambassador, a leader, a magnet. But behind his confident smirk and power-packed goals, something changed. He became softer with fans, more vocal with teammates, and surprisingly sentimental. At one press conference, a young boy nervously asked, "Do you still think you're better than Messi?" The room froze. Ronaldo smiled. "I think I'm the best Cristiano, and I think Messi is the best Messi. That's enough for both of us." The crowd erupted, but Ronaldo's eyes told a deeper truth. This wasn't PR. This was peace. Messi in Miami, the artist's final canvas. Meanwhile, across the world, Messi was painting his final masterpiece. But this time, in America, no pressure, no war, just football, and sunshine, and smiles. From the moment he landed in Florida, the U.S. changed. Ticket prices skyrocketed. MLS jerseys flew off shelves. Even non-football fans began to ask, "Who is this little magician?" But Messi didn't come to conquer. He came to breathe. He walked barefoot on beaches. He played barefoot with his sons. He smiled more. He laughed more. He spoke more. In one interview, a reporter asked, "What does happiness mean to you now?" Messi's answer was simple. "Playing football without fear, and knowing Cristiano isn't chasing me anymore," he joked. But behind that joke was warmth, because they had both stopped running. The message that sparked a storm. August 2025. Messi scored a stunning free kick in the dying seconds against LA Galaxy. The goal went viral. Again, his 800th career goal. The internet exploded. Rival fans reignited the debate. Messi is a GOAT. Ronaldo did it first. Messi did it better. But in the middle of that chaos, Ronaldo posted a photo, black and white, a younger Messi celebrating a goal in Camp Nou, with a simple caption. Camera with flash timeless. Keep dancing, Leo. The post broke records, not for the image, but for what it symbolized. The rivalry was dead. The brotherhood was alive. The youth looked up and asked questions. By now, a new generation had risen. Mbappe, Holland, Jude Bellingham, Vinicius Jr. They were young, talented, and hungry, but none of them had lived through the fire Messi and Ronaldo endured. So they asked questions. Mbappe once said, "Cristiano taught me power. Messi taught me patience. Together, they taught me how to dream." Holland joked in an interview, "If they both tell me different things, I don't know who to follow. Maybe both. Maybe neither." But one moment stood out. After a friendly between Norway and Argentina, Holland approached Messi. They exchanged jerseys. And then he whispered something. "Do you still talk to Ronaldo?" Messi nodded. "Always." An unexpected reunion, the charity match that changed everything. It started with whispers. A global charity match. Legends versus legends. For children displaced by war. One stadium. One night. Organized secretly by UNICEF and FIFA. Set in Morocco. The idea, bring the world's greatest icons back for one last magical evening. Zidane, Ronaldinho, Beckham, Kaká, Xavi, Iniesta. But two names lit the sky. Messi, Ronaldo. When the organizers reached out, both hesitated. Not for long. Their only condition? We play together. Not against each other. Not split on opposing sides. Together. Game night. The world holds its breath. October 2025. A stadium in Marrakesh. Full, roaring, and glowing with anticipation. Ronaldo in a white and blue captain's armband. Messi in matching boots, standing beside him. The camera zoomed in. They smiled. They bumped fists. And when the whistle blew, time stopped. What followed wasn't a match. It was art. One backheel pass from Ronaldo. A curling finish from Messi. A Messi chip. A Ronaldo volley. They celebrated together. They laughed. They embraced. Children in the stands cried. Adults hugged strangers. For the first time in football history, the two titans danced on the same side of destiny. It ended 6-6. But nobody cared about the score. The final whisper on the pitch. As they walked off together, arms slung around each other's shoulders, microphones caught a quiet moment. Messi whispered, "We should have done this sooner." Ronaldo replied, "Maybe we weren't ready before." Messi turned to him. "Are we now?" Ronaldo didn't answer. He just nodded and smiled. Closing of Part 4. The world had changed. But the bond between Messi and Ronaldo had only deepened. It had been built on fire, forged in silence, and revealed through grace. What once divided them, now united them. And in one beautiful match, witnessed by millions, they proved something bigger than talent or trophies. That greatness isn't measured in goals, but in the way you honor the one who pushed you to become your best. They weren't rivals anymore. They were reflections, brothers, and perhaps the final chapter of a story football will never see again. The final whistle had long blown, not in a stadium, but in their careers. The boots were hung, the jerseys framed, the chants faded into echoes, but something lingered in the air, a question that wouldn't die. What now? For years, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo lived as gladiators, fighting battles not just for glory, but for respect, for meaning. Now, the Colosseum was empty, but what came next surprised everyone. The private pact. Few know of the room in Ibiza, a quiet villa, a sunset melting into the sea. No agents, no reporters, just two men sitting by the pool, drinking orange juice, feet in the water. This was 2026. Both had officially retired. No announcement yet, just a mutual decision made in peace. There, in that calm silence, a promise was made. Not for a farewell match, not for a documentary, but for something deeper. "Let's protect what we built," Ronaldo said. "Let's not let anyone ruin it." Messi nodded. "No interviews, no debates. We tell our story when we're ready, together." And that day, they sealed it, a final promise, between legends, to end their rivalry with silence and brotherhood. The families meet. Later that summer, something even more unexpected happened. Their families, for the first time, met. Messi's boys ran wild around the garden. Cristiano Jr. challenged Thiago to a crossbar contest. Antonella and Georgina shared stories of raising children in stadiums, of nights without sleep, of cameras in their faces. For once, there was no pressure, just shared lives, shared fatigue, shared pride. Ronaldo, holding his youngest daughter, pointed to Messi. "She calls him Uncle Leo now," he joked. Messi laughed. "Well, my boys still call you the boss." That day, two worlds, once divided by colors and countries, blended, not for the media, not for legacy, but for healing. The MessiRonaldo Foundation. 6 months after retirement, rumors swirled. A mysterious global initiative had been launched. The MessiRonaldo Foundation. Its mission? To bring football to war-torn regions. To rebuild pitches in places destroyed by conflict. To use the game as a tool for unity, not division. But what shocked the world wasn't just a mission. It was a logo, a silhouette of two players, not facing off, but back-to-back, protecting each other. Messi and Ronaldo refused to be the face of the campaign. They declined interviews. They turned down cover stories. Instead, they sent young ambassadors, future stars, children they once were. Their message was clear. Let the next generation tell their own story. We've told ours. A whispered interview. One journalist came close. A respected European reporter was given a rare moment, a one-on-one with Messi. Midway through the talk, she asked, "When did you first realize Ronaldo wasn't your enemy?" Messi stared at the ground. He didn't smile. He didn't blink. Then, he said, "When I saw him cry for Portugal, it looked like my own pain." She asked if he ever said that to Ronaldo. He nodded. He knew. He always knew. Cristiano's quiet response. A year later, the same journalist met Ronaldo. She mentioned Messi's comment. Cristiano looked out at the horizon. We lost a lot of moments, chasing shadows. But maybe that's what greatness is. You only understand it when it's behind you. She asked if he ever told Messi what he truly meant to him. He said nothing. Then he whispered, "I didn't have to." The book that broke the internet. In late 2027, a book appeared on Amazon. Enemies No More. No promo, no announcement, just a black cover. And two names, Messi, Ronaldo. It was not a memoir. It was a dialogue. Letters they had written to each other over the years. Moments recalled. Regrets confessed. Laughs shared. One chapter read. I hated how you celebrated goals, but I copied the way you trained. LM. Another. I pretended not to watch your free kicks, but I studied them like exams. CR. The world devoured it. For the first time, fans didn't pick sides. They cried. They thanked them. They united. The statue, 2 men, 1 game. In 2028, a statue was unveiled in Lisbon, commissioned in secret by UEFA, not of a single player, but of 2, Messi and Ronaldo, seated on a bench, sharing a football between them, not playing, not fighting, just existing, together. The plaque read, they competed, they clashed, they endured, but in the end, they remembered they were never alone. The final game that no one saw. There was one last match, not televised, not publicized, a private pitch in Argentina. Just family, friends, and a few former teammates. No coaches, no referees, just goals, jokes, and memories. Messi scored. Ronaldo danced. And when the sun set, they sat on the bench together, breathless. Messi handed Ronaldo a water bottle. This was the best one. Ronaldo nodded. Because we didn't have to win. They didn't say goodbye. They didn't need to, because this wasn't the end. It was peace, closing of Part 5, in a world that demanded they compete. They chose to connect. In a game obsessed with legacy, they built something greater. Respect, silence, and a rare, sacred friendship born in fire, but cooled in grace. Ronaldo and Messi were never just footballers. They were mirrors. They were rivals. They were reflections of everything the sport could be, and everything it should become. The stadium lights were off. The boots were gone, but the story hadn't ended. In fact, it had only just begun, because something rare was happening across the world. For the first time, football fans weren't divided. They weren't arguing over goals or assists, Ballon d'Ors or Champions Leagues. They were united by 2 men who were no longer playing, but was still shaping the very soul of the game. The joint Hall of Fame ceremony, May 2028. Zurich, the air buzzed with anticipation. FIFA had done the unthinkable. For the first time in its history, it inducted 2 players into its global Hall of Immortals. Together, there was no first or second. No one stood above the other. Messi and Ronaldo walked onto the stage, side by side, not in jerseys, but in black suits. Older now, gray around the temples, but with eyes that still burn with memory. The announcer didn't list stats. He didn't mention goals or trophies. Instead, he read one line. They gave us more than football. They gave us the impossible, respect, rivalry, and in the end, reconciliation. As the crowd rose in a thunderous standing ovation, Messi leaned toward Ronaldo and whispered, "They finally figured it out." Ronaldo smirked. Took them long enough. Clubs unite for a farewell match. Barcelona, Madrid, Juventus, Manchester United, even PSG, even Al Nassr, clubs that once battled over them, now collaborated. The idea? A one-time friendly, a tribute match, held at the Santiago Bernabeu, hosted by both clubs, Madrid and Barca. El Ultimo Bail. The Last Dance. Legends were called in. Xavi, Modric, Piqué, Ramos, Di Maria, Benzema, Iniesta, and even Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola, side by side in the dugout. The stadium was full, not with tension, But with love, a mosaic lit the crowd. Gracias por todo. Thank you for everything. Moments from the match. The game was not about winning. It was poetry. In the 10th minute, Messi received a pass from Iniesta and curled in a goal. The Bernabeu stood to applaud. Madrid fans, United fans, everyone. In the 7th minute of the second half, Ronaldo rose like it was 2014 again and headed home across from Di Maria. Messi ran to him, lifted his arm, smiled like a child. There were tears. From fans, from players, even from commentators. But the most powerful moment came in the 88th minute. The fourth official raised the board. Substitution, Ronaldo and Messi OFF. Together, they walked to the sideline, hand in hand. They stopped halfway, turned to the crowd, and bowed, a bow that said, "This was for you." Tributes around the world. After the match, tributes poured in from every corner of the planet. In Buenos Aires, murals of Messi appeared overnight, one of him hugging a young Ronaldo. The caption, Hermanos y en la Gloria. Brothers in glory. In Madeira, Ronaldo's hometown, a massive statue was modified. No longer just Ronaldo. Now, Messi stood beside him. The island renamed the square, Plaza de los Gigantes, the Square of Giants. In Rio, Pele's foundation released a statement. Even the greatest become greater when they learn to walk together. And in Tokyo, kids in Messi 10 shirts and Ronaldo 7 shirts dance together in schools. No fights, no debates, just joy. The children who carried the legacy. By now, their sons had grown. Cristiano Jr. was a rising star in Sporting Lisbon's academy. Thiago Messi were being tracked by top La Liga sides. And here's what shocked everyone. They were best friends. Social media exploded with clips of the two boys training together, laughing, passing, celebrating. In one U17 tournament final, Cristiano Jr. scored the winner, but the assist came from Thiago. They embraced after the goal, and the world saw a new chapter was already being written, a generation that didn't inherit the rivalry, but the respect, the surprise that stunned Messi and Ronaldo. A month after El Ultimo Bail, FIFA organized a secret ceremony. Neither Messi nor Ronaldo knew what was coming. They were flown to Geneva under the pretense of a private meeting with youth program directors. But when they arrived, they were taken to a private theater. Inside, their families, their closest friends, coaches, former teammates, and a screen. What played next left both speechless. A 90-minute film, titled, You Were Never Alone. It told their stories, side by side, from Rosario to Lisbon, Camp Nou to Old Trafford, pain, triumph, doubt, obsession. But more than anything, the bond they shared. The final frame was a quote from Messi's Ballon d'Or speech in 2023. If I had no Cristiano, I would never have reached the heights I did. He wasn't my enemy. He was my greatest mirror. Then Ronaldo's voice played. We weren't made to be friends. But maybe fate didn't care. Tears streamed down Messi's face. Cristiano turned away, wiped his eyes. Then, without saying a word, they embraced, longer than ever before, closing a pot 6. The world had spent 2 decades arguing over who was better, who ran faster, who jumped higher, who was more complete. But in the end, the answer was something else. Together, they were perfect. Not perfect people. Not perfect players, but perfect rivals, the kind that come once in a lifetime, not to destroy each other, but to define each other. And when the final whistle came, they didn't walk away alone. They walked away as brothers, as legends, as one story told in 2 voices. There are stories, and then there are myths. Most fade, some grow, but very few become immortal. By the end of 2028, Messi and Ronaldo were no longer athletes. They had become something else. Symbols, legends, whispers passed down in stadiums and playgrounds across the world. Yet the 2 men behind the myth remained remarkably grounded. Their journey had ended, but their message was just beginning. The letter to the game. On January 1st, 2029, football's new year, a joint letter was released. No sponsors. No branding. Just a white sheet. 2 signatures. Messi, Ronaldo. It read, to the game that gave us everything. We were enemies because the world needed us to be. We became friends because we needed each other to survive. Every goal, every assist, every tear was born from pressure of expectation. But it was also born from love. Not love for trophies, not for fame, but love for the ball. The sound it makes on your foot, the weight it carries through generations. We leave this game with no regrets, because we had each other, and because we now know greatness isn't how many goals you score. It's how much you give back. Protect this game. Love it. Let the next ones dream without fear. Leo and Chris. The letter was translated into 112 languages. It was read in classrooms. It was framed in locker rooms. It was tattooed by fans. Because in just a few lines, they had given football what it never expected. Closure. The last public appearance. April 2029. A packed university in Zurich announced a legacy symposium. Among the speakers were coaches, players, philosophers. But the final session? Billed simply as 2 men, 1 game. They walked onto the stage in casual jackets. No ties, no prepared notes. Just honesty. Messi spoke first. I thought we would destroy each other. But instead, we protected each other. I wouldn't have lasted this long without him. Ronaldo followed. People saw us as 2 kings fighting for 1 crown. But what they missed is that we were building the same kingdom. The room was silent, until a student asked, if you could relive it all, would you do anything differently? Messi looked at Ronaldo. Ronaldo looked back. And then they both said, almost in unison, nothing, except maybe hug more often. The room laughed, then cried, then applauded. 4-5 straight minutes. The museums. In Rosario and Funchal, 2 museums were built, one for Messi, one for Ronaldo. But in a surprise twist, both men requested a final hall, shared between them. It held no trophies, no golden boots, just memories, photos from their childhood, clips from games, messages they wrote each other, a replica of the chessboard photo, a recording of their laughter. Above the entrance, one inscription, opponents by fate, friends by choice. Children who walked and came out inspired, not to win, but to respect. The statue in Heaven's 11. In a fictitious movie years later, Heaven had a football team. The cast? Maradona, Pele, Cruyff, Baggio, Zidane. But the twist? 2 empty spots. One marked, reserved for LM. The other, reserved for CR. The film ended with a child asking, why are those spots empty? And the answer was, because they are still giving down there. A quiet reunion years later. A small island in the Mediterranean. No cameras, no headlines. Just 2 men walking barefoot across the sand. Their kids now grown. Their bodies slower, but their spirits still sharp. They kicked the ball around like old times. No goals, no teams, just the 2 of them. They sat by a fire that night. And Ronaldo asked, do you ever miss it? Messi said nothing for a moment, then whispered, every single day. Cristiano nodded, but maybe we gave it enough. Messi nodded, then added, no, Chris, we gave it everything. And under the stars, the 2 men who once lit up the world with their rivalry smiled in silence, because nothing more needed to be said. Final closing, the legacy beyond football. In the end, football will always remember the goals, the free kicks, the hat tricks, the trophies. But Messi and Ronaldo gave something more lasting. They gave the world an example of competition without hate, of fire without destruction, of 2 men, polar opposites, finding common ground on the same field. Over and over again, they taught us that it's possible to be different, to be the best, and still to respect, to connect, to grow. Not enemies, not even rivals, just 2 souls who understood each other in a way no one else ever could. They came in like storms. They left like saints. And in doing so, They became something football never knew it needed. Brothers in the beautiful game.